Good day, guys. Welcome back to another video on our journey on building this application that scrapes product information from various stores and loads it into a user interface where we can compare the prices over a span of time to see how we are doing in terms of the products that we normally buy. All right. So the last where we stopped in the last video, we had done this, right? So we had successfully scraped, or yeah, let me use the word scraped. We successfully scraped product URLs from woolworths, right? The woolworths online store, and we had loaded them into or stored them into a CSV. Now we are on this part where we want to get our products from the URLs, load them into a pandas data frame, and then parse them using Beautiful Soup, right? So let's get into it. All right. So how this would work, if I can just scroll out here and move to here. Cool. So how this would work, right? So if I can just open this and get one of our data. Okay, so now this is the one that we did on the 5th of May. Okay, so we have a couple of products right here. Okay, let me just say we have a couple of CSVs right here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, and as you can see, quite a lot of them. 841. This one has 73, quite small. We should check what happened there. This one has 169, also quite small. This one has 97. This one has 98 or so. Okay, this one has 200, right? Great. So what would happen is we would take this CSV, right, which is essentially would create a list of these CSVs, and then we would take each, okay, let me phrase it properly. So we have a list of CSVs. Now for each item in the CSV list, which is essentially each CSV here, we would now run a function that goes through this URL, gets our product information, and then saves it, right? Saves it, and then we do the next one, and then when we're done, we would now collate everything into one CSV, right? So that is a sequential scrape, right? So this I have done, right? I've done this, tested it out, and it took about 2 days. And 2 days of running something is quite long, right? And if you're lucky, there's no break in connectivity. When I say connectivity, I mean to the internet. And then, but if there isn't, then you might have lost 2 days of work, right? So that was too long for me, and I think too long for anybody who's also building something like this. So if you have a process that is taking, that's taken that long or too long, right? Sometimes maybe 2 days is, you really can't go any quicker than 2 days, right? So you have to go through that, okay? And then you would have maybe you'd run it on a cloud or somewhere, and that process would take 2 days, and you'd ensure that you have the right resources or environment to ensure that there's no break in connection. Okay, but in our situation, 2 days is too long. So what I did was I did a little bit of research, and then looked into what is, I think it's called, let me say, it's called threading, right? Threading in Python or Python's format of threading, where I can run several processes at the same time, right, in parallel. So remember this one, I'd have to wait for this CSV to be completed, this CSV to, in a sequential manner. What would happen is we have our list like we had over here, and then we would essentially create a number of Selenium jobs that will be able to now scrape the product information, right? So what would happen is, here's some notes that I made. We have a generator, right, that generates a list of dictionaries, and then at the end of this whole process, we do some things in between. We save all of this into pandas data frame, right? So, I've also done this, and from 2 days, it took, I want to say 5 to 6 hours, 5 to 8 hours, right? Let's just say 8 hours, right? So that's a big reduction from 2 days to 8 hours, where we had multiple Selenium jobs running at the same time, right? So now this is where we'll be going. I will now show you what we'll be doing. I know I said I was going to show you how to scrape the product information now. However, what we've been doing, if we go back to our main.py, was a kind of, how do they call it? Sequential programming. Where we don't have any classes or something like that. We just running it per line, our logic line by line. However, what I want to move to is creating an instance or a class, right? A StoreScraper class that would we would encapsulate all of this functionality into the class, right? So I've gone out and created a quick blueprint, right? So here's our StoreScraper bot. This is free to use, all right? If it's not, I would put a license there. Okay. And it has the following attributes, right? So we have our current date, right? And this essentially records the date when the bot was actually initialized, right? And essentially it would be something like a stamp for our it would tie to the stamp for our product information, right? So it tells us, okay, well, this product was collected on this date. And then we also have the date stamp, which is just like before. Is related to our current date. If it's default is set to none. So if it's none, then just take the current date. Otherwise, the current date is what the user has inputted, right? Let's say we want to run our process again, like this one was from the 5th of May. No, sorry, the 11th of May of this year. So let's say I want to run this because I don't like the number of products that we see there, right? Then I could just put in my date stamp and then it would run and everything would be saved on that date, right? So, and then we also have our store information dictionary, which is essentially our Excel file that contains the store and the information, the categories, right? And the storage path as before. Let me go back to maybe the PY. This is our store information dig. This is our storage path. And then now we're also going to create a driver, right? Our driver is going to be the Selenium driver that we're going to initialize to be able to get our information from the web pages that we are interested in. And the methods that we have are two methods, right? Two being that it would have been three. The third one would be the instance where we now create our multiple bots. However, what I realized was that with one of the, should I say the design or how you use the multiprocessing of which we'll get into, you need to run it, you need to have a pickable object, right? So when I ran this as a method, it couldn't pick, should I say pickleize, or let me use pickleize, right? Pickle is a type of should I say data type or format in Python. You can read up on it, or I can pull it up after this. So it couldn't do that. So essentially what is going to happen is going to have two methods, and then we're going to have another Selenium script module where we'll have we can import that function, and the function itself is now pickable. The method wasn't pickable, which is quite interesting, but the function is. So I will show you that. So we're going to go through all of that. This whole video will just be about laying the foundations. Then from next time, then we'll start doing the object-oriented programming aspect of this solution. Right. So get the product URLs is what we've done. We're going to tweak it a little bit and get product CSV dictionary, which is just to get the dictionary for each store containing the list of CSVs, right, which is dependent on the specific product category. Right, so that's that. If I move to the left, I can now show you what we'll be doing. This is the get product URLs. We're going to access a date stamp. We're going to store the information, access the date stamp, access store information sheet, access our storage path. Then from there, we're going to iterate through the sheet in the spreadsheet, store information dict. And then for each store, we're going to invoke our create directory function and with storage path and store data, which creates those directories. And then for each category in the category URL, we're going to invoke create a directory function again. And to create, what are we going to create? We're going to create the product URL directory to store product URLs. Then we're going to create the product path directory to store the product data collected from the product URL. Then we're going to call a URL scrape function, which is in the Selenium script module that I'm going to show you just now. It's custom. And then we're going to invoke this function to collect all the product URLs from our category and return a list of links. And then we're going to create the product URL CSV to save the links to the CSV, and that's the end. And then this is just some thought process that I was thinking as long. So different websites will need different scraping logic. You know, we're going to have different CSS attributes. I'm using CSS selectors for the scraping. Others can, okay, I'm using the majority of it is CSS selectors. However, there's some instances where I'm using XPath. And then, so the get URL scraper would take a parameter to determine which logic to execute. So should it be the one for woolworths or the other store? That is the thoughts around that. And then it's just some thinking points. Click next page button. Where is it going to fail? Okay, so one of the instances that I saw is a pop-up comes on and can't click on the button. What to do? Should we try and refresh the page or stop and save the information? But just some thoughts right now. Random might be, yeah, it's kind of random. Okay, and then this is the logic for the get product CSV function. So it takes in the scrape dates, right? And then we check, okay, well, the default is none, right? So if it's none, right? If it's none, So is the date stamp none? If it's not none, we're going to change it to what the user, the scrape dates that the user put in there. If it is, then we're just going to use today's date or the dates that where this object was initialized. And then for either we're going to continue and then create a dictionary to store CSVs. And then for each store in our dictionary, in our Excel sheet over here, we're going to create information, get all the CSVs there, and then in the directory, add the store list to the CSV directory, and then check is it store complete. If it's not, do it for next store. If it is, return the CSV containing all our all this type of CSVs, right? So this is where, so once I have this, I have the list of I have a dictionary of all my CSVs, where the key for this dictionary is the store and the value is the list of CSVs, right? The path to the list of the CSVs. And then from there, we would now invoke some of these functions on our Selenium driver, right? So over here is our Selenium scrape module, and I'm just, it's a bit, let's see, what's this one? Right. Let's see here. It's a bit long, but yeah. So this is the get woolworths URL, and this one is also, so we can see go to next page checkers. We're going to include checkers in this, and then, excuse me, and then this one is get Woolies product data. I don't know if I should, I think we've already gone through this whole get woolworths URL, so, but for the sake of the video, let me just continue and just go through it. So as you can see, there are some CSVs that I don't like the number of files that are in the products, right? So this one has 200, this one has 800, this one has 73. Okay, that's like crazy. Why is it crazy? Because there's should be a lot more products in some of them. The 800 seems okay. The ones that are lower than 500 are a bit weird. So what's happening now is, in this function, I say find the number of results in the category page, right? And then I try to extract that product count from there. And if I can't, this should be a no. If I can't, I should just set the product count to 500, all right? There should be at least 500 products on each page. Unless Woolworths decides to change that, yeah, it should be at least 500, okay? But if I'm able to extract the product count, then what we're going to do is try to find the next page button. If I have found the next page button, which is this one, yes, initialize our page counter variable to 1. If I can't find it, gracefully end our process and return none, all right? So we couldn't get any product data, right? So I initialize my page counter variable to 1, and then I check, is my next page button displayed? If it's not, okay, again, gracefully end the process and return none. So when I say gracefully end, just like just say, okay, cool. Don't just break the script and just say, okay, yeah, just don't break the script and just exit with a error function or error message, you know. When I say gracefully, end it with a nice error message, not with the one that's showing all the program, Python's error stack trace, whatever you call it, right? Okay, but if is there log Woolworths next page button found, and then just kill the script for 5 seconds, and then create a list to store all the product links for this category. Then just like before, while true, try to, let me just zoom out there. While true, try to scrape all the product URLs on each page. Found all product anchor pages on the anchor tags on the page, great. Extract their link and append to product link list. After loop, log the number of pages product script on the page, and then find the next button again just to keep it fresh. Check if more than one element fits into the next page button, because with Woolworths they have set the previous and the next to be the same CSS, if I'm not mistaken, CSS selector plus. All right. If there is more than one, if there is not more than one, check if only one element matches, right? And the page counter is equals to 1. So like if there's just one and the page counter is equals to 1, we're on the first page, right? Then the previous is grayed out. Okay, yes, and then select the element, select the first element. If we have more than one, right, select the second element, because remember, previous is the first, and then next is the second. And then we go to number of products, check if the number of products is script is greater than the product count. If it's not, click on the next page. If it is, break the while loop and return our product link, right? So we stop our process. Click on the next page. If it's not greater than the product count, and then check if we've navigated. If we've not navigated the next page, then break the while loop and then exit. then we tick how many products we want. We have gotten, and then if we can, go to the next page and then repeat the whole process again, right? So that is our URL for Woolworths, getting the product URLs. And then this one is getting the product data. And then this is quite long, but I think this one we can do. I'll go through this when I am writing the code with you. And yeah, so this is our driver. I didn't speak too much about it. I think this one I should tell you about is the headless mode. Before I had it where you could actually see the web page being automated by Selenium. This one is just going to run in the background, right? So going to save some time and save some process CPU, and then it'll be a lot faster. All right. Apologies for my voice if it sounds a bit horsey. It's just or high pitched. Yeah, the flu is going about this winter. But yeah, let's get to it. See you in the next video.